Once upon a time, 3 little trees stood and dreamt of what they wanted to become when they grew up. The first little tree looked up at the stars twinkling like diamonds above her and said,
I want to hold treasure. I want to be covered with gold and filled with precious stones. I will be the most beautiful treasure chest in the world.
The second little tree looked out at the small stream trickling by on its way to the ocean and said,
I want to be a strong sailing ship. I want to travel mighty waters and carry powerful kings. I will be the strongest ship in the world.
The third little tree looked down into the valley below where busy men and busy women worked in a busy town and said,
I don't want to leave this mountain top at all. I want to grow so tall that when people stop to look at me, they will raise their eyes to heaven and think of God. I will be the tallest tree in the world.
Many years passed. The rains came, the sun shone, and the little trees grew tall. And it happened that one day 3 woodsmen came upon the 3 trees.
This tree is beautiful! It's perfect for me!
With the swoop of his shining axe, the first tree fell.
Now I shall be made into a beautiful chest, and I will hold wonderful treasures.
The second woodsman looked at the second tree and said,
This tree is strong. This is perfect for me.
With a swoop of his shining axe, the second tree fell.
Now I shall sail mighty waters. I shall be a strong ship fit for kings.
The third tree felt his heart sink when the last woodsman looked his way. He stood straight and tall and pointed bravely to heaven, but the woodsman never even looked up.
Any kind of tree would do for me.
With a swoop of his shining axe, the third tree fell. The first tree rejoiced when the woodsman brought her to a carpenter shop. But the busy carpenter was not thinking about treasure chests. Instead, his work-worn hands fashioned the tree into a feed box for animals. The once beautiful tree was not covered with gold or filled with treasure. She was coated with sawdust and filled with hay for hungry farm animals. The second tree smiled when the woodsman took him to a shipyard, but no mighty sailing ships were being made that day. Instead, the once strong tree was hammered and sawed into a simple fishing boat, too small and too weak to sail an ocean or even a river. He was taken to a little lake. Every day he brought in loads of dead, smelly fish. The third tree was confused when the woodsman cut him to strong beams and left him in a lumber yard. He wondered,
What happened? All I ever wanted to do was stay on the mountain and point to God.
Many, many days and nights passed. The 3 trees nearly forgot their dreams. But one night, golden starlight poured over the first tree as a young woman placed her newborn baby in the feed box. The husband wished he could make a cradle for the baby, but the mother smiled as the starlight shone on the smooth and sturdy wood. She thought the manger was beautiful. It was then the first tree came to a realization.
My dream has come true. I am holding the greatest treasure in the world.
One day, a tired traveler and his friends crowded into the old fishing boat. The traveler fell asleep as the second tree quietly sailed out into the lake.
Can that be storm clouds?
And soon, a thundering and thrashing storm arose. The little tree shuddered. He knew he did not have the strength to carry so many passengers safely through the wind and rain. The tired man awakened. He stood up, stretched out his hand, and said, "Peace!" The storm stopped as quickly as it had begun, and suddenly the second tree discovered a new truth.
My dream has come true. I am carrying a king, the King of Kings.
The third tree spent years alone and forgotten in the lumber yard, but one Friday morning he was startled when his beams were yanked from the forgotten woodpile. He flinched as he was carried through an angry, jeering crowd. He shuddered when soldiers nailed a man's hand to him and raised him up to die on a hilltop. He felt ugly and harsh and cruel. 3 days passed, and on that morning the sun rose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her. You see, this was the day that God's love changed everything. It made the first tree
beautiful.
It made the second tree
strong.
And every time people thought of the third tree, they would indeed think of God.